Shalom Aleichem. Okay, welcome. We are starting a new Mishnah, and this is really going to be a new beginning in some sort of a way, because the beginning of this Mishnah kind of stands alone, but then from then on it's going to be one theme all the way through to the end of the Perek. So we are in Pirkei Avos Perek Sheni, starting Mishnah Ches. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai kibel mehillel v'Shammai. הוא היה אומר, אם למדת תורה הרבה, אל תחזיק טובה לעצמך, כי לכך נוצרת. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he's our hero really. He is the man who said, Tein li yavneh v'chachmea. He was an amazing individual. Let's just give a little background history to who he was to get context of this Mishnah. It's important to understand who he was, to understand why this is his message. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he was a Talmid of Hillel and Shammai, but primarily Hillel. The Gemara at the end of Rosh Hashanah says that he lived 120 years. The first 40 he was a businessman. The next 40 he learned Torah, and the last 40 he was teaching Torah. Now, of that last 40, the first few years he was still pre-Beis HaMikdash, and then the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. His last 30 or so years were after the destruction, and he pretty single-handedly saved the entire Jewish nation. He was the one who went out to Vespasian and said, please save Yavneh and Chachmea, save the lineage of the Nesiim, of Hillel and his descendants, Rabbi Gamliel and his descendants. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel was killed, unfortunately, in that final war, and his son Gamliel wasn't ready to take over yet. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai took over as the Nasi, even though he wasn't from the lineage of Hillel. He was a Talmid of Hillel, but not from the lineage of Hillel. He took over as a Nasi for those few years until Rabbi Gamliel was able to step in Yavneh and take it over. Rabbi Gamliel's kever till this day is in Yavneh, about a 10-15 minute drive from where Kerem Yavneh is today. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is in Tveria. That's where his grave is, although he founded the yeshiva here in Yavneh. He was a tzaddik atzum in many ways. They say about him many great things in the Gemara Brachos and in the Gemara in Sukkah, that he was someone who would never walk Daled Amos without Torah and Tefillah on his lips. And at the same time, it says, in a different place, that whenever he would walk, and no one would ever greet him first. He would always greet other people and say shalom to them before they would say shalom to him, which seems like a stira, meaning he was learning Torah the whole time and he was greeting people. How did he do that? You see that he was very well balanced. But on the one hand, he never stopped learning Torah at any moment. The Gemara also says that he never sat batel. If he was sitting and nothing was happening for a moment, he would do shinun. He would review all of his Torah. He would review it in his mind. He never wasted a moment. But at the same time, that greatness didn't come at the expense of his being connected. And he was greeting even goyim and saying shalom to them at every moment. One more Gemara that I want to quote to you, which is going to have context of what we're going to speak about today, is his level of learning. This is what the Gemara says. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had learned all of, now it's a long list, hold on with me for a minute, this might take a half an hour, Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud, Halachos, Agadas, Diktukei Torah, Diktukei Soifrim, all the Gezerah Shavas, all the Tekufos, which is referring to how they calculated the Kiddush HaChodesh, Gematrias. We're getting out of the realm here. Now, if we thought we were out of the realm now, and it doesn't wait till the rest of the list. Sichos Malchei HaShores, he was holding in the discussions of the angels, the Sichos Shedim, and of the demons, the Sichas Dekalim, I don't even know what to say about this, but the speech of the palm trees, Mashalos Kovsim, he knew all of the riddles or the parables of the laundry people, and the Mashalos Shu'alim, and all the wisdom that came through the parables of the foxes. And then it just concludes with another couple of Maaseh Merkava and Havayos Abai V'Rava. So you see clearly here that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was not your run-of-the-mill rabbi. He was someone who had Kola Torah Kula at his foot, at his fingertips. Please just one moment. The mitzvah tzedakah is knocking at my door. I'm just going to give my kids a tzedakah box. So now, what does he have to teach us? Meaning, this is someone who has Kola Torah Kula at his fingertips. What is his message? His message is Im lamadata Torah harbe. Now, he's a pretty fitting person to say that statement. Maybe the most fitting person of any era to say such a statement. Im lamadata Torah harbe. If you learnt much Torah, yes. Now, what do you do with it? Al tachzik tova la'atzmacha. don't take the credit for yourself, ki lekach notzarta, because that was the purpose of your creation. Now, this Mishnah is a little challenging to understand, because if you understand lekach notzarta, that your purpose is to be learning Torah, then why can't you rejoice over the good that you're doing? Is it just saying don't be arrogant? Then it's say don't be arrogant if you're not worthy of it. But here it's saying you are worthy of it. This is the reason why you were created. So if this is the reason why you're created, then why can't you say I did? Is it inappropriate that we recognize we're doing good? I mean, we've seen many mishnayos that have built our ego, that have built our self-esteem, that if you're involved in something which is a positive thing, a God-oriented thing, then we're excited about it, we rejoice about it, we recognize that we're connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through doing it. Over here, it seems like it's saying a negative thing. It seems like it's saying, don't rejoice over learning Torah. Don't take any good from that for yourself. It's not about you. Don't feel happy. It's Hashem. You're doing it for Hashem, not for yourself. That was the reason of your creation. So we're going to try and get a little more depth in this. We're going to give 3 interpretations. The first one is going to be Rabbeinu Yonah, which is going to be a standard one, kind of a straightforward one, although with a message which is more than just straightforward. Then we're going to look at the Chassid Yavitz. Then we're going to look at the Midrash Shmuel, who gives one which I think fits beautifully into the words, and that will answer another question that we haven't brought up yet. We'll bring that up when we get there. But then we're going to conclude with the Chassid Yavitz's answer, because I have an affinity for that one in this particular Mishnah. Okay, let's go. Rabbeinu Yonah, explaining this Mishnah on level number 1. So Rabbeinu Yonah says, Ki lekach notzarta, adayin ata barosh. You're just beginning. Umatai tasig be'emtza. When are you even going to get to the middle of Torah learning? V'ad hasof, you think you're ever going to get to the end? Ki haTorah aruka mi'eretz midah u'rachava min hayam. The Torah is tremendously vast. It's impossible for man to ever get to the end. Do you know how far away man is? And therefore there's no way you can take credit for anything you do, because even if you learn anything, then that's nothing. That's really very small in comparison to all the Torah learning that could possibly be. Now, I'll be honest with you. Maybe I might have an agenda here in my kind of hashkafa, but that Rabbeinu Yonah didn't rest very well with me. I mean, I'm reading Rabbeinu Yonah, and he's saying, any Torah you ever learn is never going to be enough, because the Torah is way more vast than anything you could ever imagine. Now, when you learn Rishonim, this is something which I think I spoke about a couple of days ago, when I spoke about Rav Buchros's way of teaching us how you should first learn them as very amazing and you're awed by them, but then you have to bring them down to your level. And that's not considered kfira, but rather that's the way you can connect to it in a real way. There are questions which may sound to you like kfira. But Rav Buchros always taught us there's no such thing as a question of kfira. There are only answers of kfira. That there could be. You could give an answer which is inappropriate and not in line with Torah thought. But to ask a question, on the contrary, often those questions, which are the most basic questions which bother you, those are the ones which help you get to a much deeper understanding. And therefore, if you read a Rishon and it doesn't resound well with you, and it's like a basic question that you feel is bothering you, it's important to ask it. You may end up with a tzarech iyun, you may. It's important to ask it. So I had a basic question on this Mishnah. This seemed to be going against a basic understanding that I had of our relationship with Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not give a person a test they can't handle. And if it's true that all of mankind can never reach an iota of what greatness of Torah is, then that's not your mission. That's not your purpose here in this world. And like the Mishnah itself says, Ki lekach notzarta, this is what you were created for. So if it's impossible for me to get to a level where I can learn what Rav Yochanan himself learned, or what even that Rashi is saying here, Rabbeinu Yonah, Arukah mi'eretz midah ruchava min hayam, it's wider than the sea, greater than the heavens. If it really is beyond me, it has nothing to do with me. That's not what I was created for. So what is the message that Rabbeinu Yonah is understanding in this Mishnah? The reason why you can't take credit for yourself is because it's too vast and you'll never be able to reach it, and therefore what you're doing is basically pathetic. So how dare you think that what you're doing is a great accomplishment? It's not a great accomplishment. You can't do anything. Okay, I understand it's not a great accomplishment in comparison to what all of Torah is, but it is a great accomplishment according to what I can do. And that's what my mission is. And I'm only being judged by myself. I'm not being judged by Rav Yochanan and Zakkai. So that's the question that we have coming out of Rabbeinu Yonah. And as I said, whenever you have those basic questions, which it just doesn't make sense to me, that's where you're going to get more of a depth. So let's go into it with more depth. The one who I saw explaining this Rabbeinu Yonah in more depth, he didn't say it was from Rabbeinu Yonah, but he explains along the same theme, but gives more of an understanding, was the Maharam Shik, who also has a commentary on Pirkei Avos. So bear with me for a moment and let's try and explain this idea. I think it's quite impressive. When you are in grade 1 or in kindergarten and you're learning the Aleph base, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu did you a big tova. Your mind doesn't think so far in the future. All your mind thinks about is what the task in front of me is right now. And therefore you look at the Aleph base, you see Aleph base in front of you, and you say, okay, this is what we need to do right now. We need to learn Aleph base. And then you work towards that project. Now, you finish Aleph base at some point. Excuse me. You finish Aleph base at some point, and then at that point, there's a sense of accomplishment. This was the task I had set in front of me, and I've now completed this task, and you feel happy. You feel you've done good. You feel tova. Good has happened in the world. What happens exactly at that point? Exactly at that point that you've finished the level that you were able to see in front of you, a whole new vista opens up. And suddenly they say to you, now we're going to be learning Siddur. And you say, this is amazing. I can read words. I can put them together. This whole book that I always saw people looking at, and it didn't really bother me what they were doing because it was out of my realm at that time. It didn't even interest me. Reading is something, I don't know what that is. Why would they do that? I like putting little cubes in little squares and holes and putting them in. That's what I enjoy doing. That's exciting. Well, I'm not even going to think what they're doing. It's not interesting. Suddenly you learn all the letters and you realize you can put them together. And at that point, a new world opens and you're able to start reading the words of a Siddur. So you get all excited about that and they tell you in class, you're going to be learning the Siddur, and you start reading about the Siddur and learning it and praying it. And then they tell you, now we're going to learn Chumash. And you say, I can read my own stories. Not only can I read the words like you do in a Siddur, but I can also understand them and connect them and tell a story and relay it back. And you start going through Tanakh. And you say, wow, I have my sights set on learning all of Chumash. And as far as you're concerned, that's the whole goal of your life, really. And you haven't really thought further. You haven't thought about getting married, starting a profession. No, that's just a way Hashem does you a tova. And you can't even see that level. You can't even recognize what's going to be at that stage. The tova that Hashem does for you is that you only ever see what's immediately in front of you, what the task in front of you is. As you start finishing Torah, the good schools where they do things according to the way the Mishnah is going to say, where they finish all of Tanakh, then they start Mishnayos. Mishnah, what's Mishnah? You start learning about the background of Mishnah. Oh, this is a little big, man, the 6th story here, and that last one is a little bit scary, quite long, and I don't know what it's talking about, but no worries. They told me now I only need to do brachas. Brachas is fun, it's interesting. I'm happy to involve myself in that. And then they skip the rest of Zroim and go into Moed, because it's more relevant to me and interesting. That's the task in front of me. I'm happy to take it. And slowly but surely, a little bit like someone who's climbing a mountain, and as he climbs the mountain, he says, I'm about to reach the top. And as he gets there, instead of recognizing it as the top, he realizes that it's a whole flow of mountains. And by getting to the top of this mountain, he recognizes there's another mountain in front of him. And it was a good job he didn't see that at the beginning, because he may well have given up hope at the beginning if he would have known the entire mountain range in front of him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does a big tova, operative word here, tova for you, that you only ever see the task in front of you. Now, where does the Maharam Shik get this idea from, and how does it connect it back to our Mishnah? In Bereshis, Perek Aleph, Pasuk Zayin, when it's talking about the second day of creation, then it doesn't say the word Ki Tov. On the other days it says Ki Tov, but on the second day it doesn't say Ki Tov. And what's the reason why it doesn't say Ki Tov? Because Hashem hadn't finished the creation on the second day. That which Hashem started creating on the second day, he only concluded on the third day. So on the third day, Yom Shlishi, it says Pa'amayim Ki Tov, twice good, because that really was good. There was an ending of day 2 and there was a conclusion of day 3. But what do you see? Says Rashi, the word tova actually means. The word tova is where you've come to a conclusion of a level and you've finished. That's what the word tova from a Torah perspective means. You've come to a recognition that you've finished and you look back and you feel accomplished at what you've done. HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the end of every day said, Vayar Elokim ki tov. He created such and such a thing and it was good. Good means you come to conclusion. That gives us a whole new level of understanding of what Rabbeinu Yonah was saying in his interpretation of the Mishnah. When it says, when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, that when you view your Torah learning, you must never look at your learning as Tova for yourself. Because what would Tova represent? If you understand more deeply what Tova means from a Torah perspective, it means I had a goal in front of me, I've accomplished my goal, and I'm done. Lahavdil, you could compare that to working towards a degree. Working towards a degree is a very clear, limited goal you have in front of you. It takes 3 years. I have these courses, these modules, this is the syllabus. I finished the whole syllabus, and then I can put a BA after my name, and then afterwards an MA after my name, Behema, the whole thing. I can put it after my name, and I'm done. I've got the BA and the MA, it's all concluded. Very good. I've finished. Tova. That's Tova. Don't quote me on this, but Torah is not Tova and a degree is Tova from this perspective, meaning that it's a clear ending, you've come to an end, and now you can start working. You don't have to keep learning. You don't have to keep studying. Why would you want to do that? You now can go out to the working world and you can start earning a profession. And you could stay in that same profession for decades, 30, 40 years working in that. You don't need to take another stage forward. You don't need to advance more than that. You've come to your place where you need to be. Like the Gemara says, Rishoim b'chayeihem nikra'im meitim. Wicked people in their lifetimes are called dead. Why are they called dead? What's dead? Because they're not advancing. They're not moving to another stage. There's a recognition of I've reached my plateau. I have now accomplished. And that's that I can stay on this point for the rest of my life. Now, Torah is not like that. Like we spoke yesterday, marbe Torah, marbe Chaim. Chaim is something that has to be constantly kept to be alive. You have to keep breathing to be alive. There's no sense of Tova that you can keep to yourself where you say, I've reached an end goal. So therefore, according to Rabbeinu Yonah, with the help from the Maharam Shik, way of reading the Mishnah, this is how you would read it. If you've learned a lot of Torah, al tachzik tova la'atzmacha. Don't hold yourself at that place where you look back and you say, I'm accomplished. I've done what I need to do. Don't ever say, I set a goal for myself and I've achieved it. That's it. I'm finished. My place has come to an end. Why? Ki lekach not tzarta. Because, listen to this pshat. Lekach not tzarta, says the Maharam Shik, because for this you were born, meaning for learning Torah you're born, meaning you have to see yourself as being born at every time. You have to constantly see yourself as being born. Just like the mashal that we gave, that every time you reach Tova, what actually happens is it's just the setting for the next level. You just reached one mountain tip and you recognize, oh, I was just born. Here I thought I'd come to my completion. Actually, look at that. There's a whole new level that I have in front of me. Lekach not sarta. For the constant growth, you were created. And that's the Maharam Shik's way of explaining the first level of understanding. So that answers our question. Are you allowed to be happy? Of course you're allowed to be happy. Of course you are supposed to rejoice. You are supposed to be celebrating your Torah learning, but never view your Torah learning that like a secular wisdom that you've set a target, you've come to the end and you've finished. You can now rest on your laurels. Chas v'chalila. You're always being reborn. You're always restarting. Now we can understand why Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai is the most appropriate person to teach us this, because any other person in the world, he hasn't really reached the top. So we would say, wow, he's learned Kol HaTorah Kula, we would say. And then you would say, that's the end. And you're right, he's reached the tip, the top, the end. There's no more after that. So Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai, who's learned, I don't want to go through the whole list again. It will take us till Thursday next week to get to the end. But once you see all the things that Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai has learned, and you say, there's really no end. I mean, every time Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai finished one level, Mikra, oh, no, Mishnah, okay, Mishnah, oh, okay, fine, Talmud, oh, okay, now, what the palm trees speak, what does that mean? What do palm trees speak? It's a part of Torah, and he learned that too. Keep going on. After that comes Merkava. Interesting, the order. You're supposed to learn about the Sichat Shedim and the palm trees before Maaseh Merkava, apparently. So if you go a long while till you get to 40, you see here the concept of Rabbeinu Yonah. You never rest on your laurels. You never say, I've achieved, I've accomplished. In secular wisdom, you can say that. In Torah wisdom, it's endless. And you need someone who, to us, has learned everything, and he gets to everything. What does he say when he gets to everything? He says, this is just the beginning. I haven't reached any end. I'm not calling this Tova. This is just the beginning for me. I have a long way to go. And when he says that, you realize it's infinite. That's point number one. You sod hanetzach. Okay? Interpretation number two. Now we're in the Medrash Shmuel. This one is a beautiful read. Like the words are perfect. It's very interesting. Now I just realized that's the third time I've said that in this shiurim. I've quoted a Medrash Shmuel who says something totally different to all the other Rishonim say, and said how it reads in the words beautifully. That's a pattern by him. Hu haya omer, so Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai would say, Im lemadeta Torah harbe, if you've learned a lot of Torah, al tachzik tova la'atzmacha, don't hold it yourself. Don't keep your Torah just to you. Here the word tova, very opposite to the last interpretation, is referring to Torah. Don't keep that good to yourself. Don't be selfish in your Torah. Why? Ki lakach notzarta. What does it mean now, lakach notzarta? It means teaching. Your purpose to come into this world was teaching. Now, I want to point out now that our last mission that we learned yesterday, we spoke about the idea of the expansive mindset, thinking beyond limitation. Now, both of these two interpretations we have just given, both use the expansive mindset. The last interpretation of Rabbeinu Yonah and the Maram Shik is expansive as far as how great Torah is. Don't limit Torah. Torah can go on and on and on, and every time you get to one conclusion, you realize you just laid down the tools for the next stage. That's expansive as far as Torah is concerned. And now with the Medrash Shmuel, we're seeing that it's expansive even beyond you, meaning any Torah that you gain, any Torah you have learned, and especially if you've learned a lot of Torah, you are just being given the skills to go and teach it to other people. It's expansive as far as you're concerned outwards. And therefore, don't hold the Torah just to yourself. Ki lakach notzarta. You were created to be expansive. Any Torah you were given was in order for you to go on and share with other people. And either lahavdil, maybe not lahavdil, in the same way as there is an isur d'oraisa for a navi to hold back his nevuah, rather he was given nevuah for him to say on to other people. So in a smaller form, maybe without an isur d'oraisa, but the same concept, if you were given Torah thoughts, and those Torah thoughts, it's forbidden for you to keep them to yourself. Lekach notzarta, for you to go on and share those with others. That's the interpretation of Medrash Shmuel. Tremendous message that we should view ourselves as shlichim of Hashem. And any Torah that we have, any opportunity we have, we see it as opportunity to share to other people. Never be embarrassed. Never think to yourself, oh, let me talk about the weather or the politics or some diseases that are going on around the world. Talk Torah. People initially will be, oh, you want to talk something authentic, value-oriented? Oh, I wasn't expecting that. But go ahead. And people appreciate it and they love it. Any opportunity that comes your way, share words of Torah. Lakach notzarta. The third point, the final point we're going to do today is the Yavitz, the Chosed Yavitz. And he gives a whole other interpretation, which I think the basic concept we've spoken before, but this context and what we can elaborate with it is very good. Sorry, just put that in brackets, that introduction. I said I was going to answer a question from the Medrash Shmuel. I'm just going to go back and do that now. Another question we didn't ask yet was, this Mishnah, I only read half to you. The second half of the Mishnah, it goes on to an entirely new topic. And in theory, it should really be a new Mishnah. The Mishnah then goes on, I'm not going to read it all now, but it goes on to say that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had 5 Talmidim. It then lists the 5 Talmidim. And then it says how Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would praise those 5 Talmidim. And that Bez Hashem will do on Sunday. So why is it all in one Mishnah? Why didn't that become a new section? But now you can understand, because once Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai has told us, don't hold the Torah back to yourself. Don't keep the Torah, it's not for you. Then immediately afterwards, in the same Mishnah, even without going on to a new Mishnah, it says, Na'eh doresh, na'eh mekayem. Beautiful is the one who teaches something and he fulfills it. And it goes straight into how Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai then shared his Torah and built his Talmidim. That was the Medrash Shmuel explaining that question of why it goes from there straight to the Mishnah. Okay, that was pausing the Midrash Shmuel, and now coming back to the Chassid Yavitz on the third interpretation. I've given this parable before, but I want to explain it again just as an introduction. Imagine I open a door into a dark room. Now, I can't see what's going on in that room because it's dark. And I'm trying to see, but I can't see anything because it's dark. But I don't understand because in the doorway, there's light that's coming in from the passage, from the hall. So why don't I see in the room? And the answer is because I'm standing in the doorway. And I'm blocking all the light that potentially is coming into that room. And that's why I can't see anything. So what's the best thing for me to do is to open the door and stand at the side where I'm not getting in the way of the light. And that way the light can come into the room and I will be able to see what's in the room. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Torah to Am Yisrael. The Jewish people's role is to be shining the light of Hashem into the world. But there's a major, major condition that we don't get in the way. Because if we get in the way of shining Hashem's light, then Hashem's light won't come in. I'll give you a very simple, you may have experienced this in the past. Has it ever happened to you that you're about to explain an idea and then you suddenly get a deeper understanding and you understand Pshat and you're going to explain this idea now to someone else. And then there's this feeling of like, wow, I thought of that. This idea is amazing. I'm going to share this unbelievable idea that I personally just thought of. And then you totally forget it. And you feel really embarrassed. What just happened? There I was with this brilliant idea. And it's even more embarrassing when you just say to that person, I'm going to explain to you now. What just happened there? You totally forget it. Because, now hear this deeply, Hashem's light shines through us. Hashem's light is the Torah, the positive influence in the world. It comes through the Jewish people. That's only if they don't get in the way. The moment there's a feeling of arrogance, and it's me sharing this Torah, I'm the one teaching it, it's my authentic thought that I made up, at that moment, then you lose the influence. You lose the shefa. Because Hashem only gives it to you if you're not standing in the way. If you're a pipeline without any blockage in the pipeline, where Hashem's light can just come all the way through. But once your pipeline is all blocked and Hashem's light comes down, it gets stuck, Hashem's light isn't able to continue. So now, and you may have experienced that yourself with this example that I just gave, where you forget the idea totally, where the pipeline just gets stopped right there in the middle. So listen how the Chassid Yavitz reads this Mishnah. Im lamadata Torah harbeh, if you've learned much Torah, and there are ideas coming through you, Hashem's wisdom is coming through you, al tachzik tova la'atzmacha, don't you take the credit for it. Don't you say, it's my idea, I made it up, I'm the one who thought of it, and take credit for yourself. Rather, you should attribute it back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Recognize that it comes from Him. Now listen to this beautiful read. How do you read the last three words now? Ki lekach notzarta. And I hear this very well. The way we read Ki lekach notzarta until now was going on the first part of the Mishnah, on the Reisha. Im lemadata Torah harbeh. If you learn much Torah, lekach notzarta, that's what you were created for. That's the way we read it until now. But according to the Chassid Yavitz and also the Sfas Emes, they understand that the word lekach notzarta is going on the Sefer. Now hear this very well. Your purpose is not the learning of Torah. Your purpose is the recognizing that it comes from Hashem. Your purpose in life isn't the fulfillment of the mitzvah. Your purpose in life is attributing all the good in the world that it emanates from Ito Yitbarach. And therefore, the way you read it is, if you learned a lot of Torah, don't take the credit for yourself. Why? Because your whole purpose of your creation was not to take credit for yourself. That's how it's going on the Sefer. Your whole purpose in creation was to recognize that it comes from Him, was to cancel yourself to Hashem and recognize that you are just the conduit. You are just the pipeline for Hashem. If you stand in the doorway and don't let that light come in, then you're not just not learning Torah, but you're holding back the light of Hashem to come in through you. You're holding back Shechina. The Shechina dwells where there's room, where there's humility. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the paradigm of humility. He would greet every goy in the marketplace as he would walk past. He wouldn't say, I'm the Gadol Hador, I'm the Nasi. In fact, the moment that Rabbi Gamliel was able to take over, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai stepped down. He was the Nasi, didn't have anything to do with it, just stepped down. And not only did he step down, but he left Yavne. he moved to the south. And why did he leave Yavne and move to the south? Because he didn't want Rabban Gamliel to feel there's someone here who is greater than him, who was in power before, that other people would still look to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instead of looking to Rabban Gamliel. The paradigm of humility. And therefore, you are created in order to move out the way and to recognize that it all comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Haflah, if you ever get to read the introduction of the book Haflah, then he also says this same idea. He says it like this. He says, a regular shaliach can be proud of what he's done because his pride doesn't get in the way of his fulfillment of his mission. If I'm a shaliach for the mail and I bring a package from point A to point B, then the fact that I'm proud of the fact that I did it didn't hold the package back. I still did my mission very well. The package still got from A to B. My pride doesn't get in the way. But if my mission really is to shed the light of Hashem in the world, to bring a Kodesh Baruch Hu Shechina into the world, then here my attributing it to myself, my being proud, gets in the way. And therefore you can't have pride. So we'll summarize the 3 points that we learned from Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. It's amazing. It's just simple Mishnah and such amazing insights. So point number 1 was the Maharam Shik based on the Rabbeinu Yonah. Point number 2 was the Medrash Shmuel. Point number 3 was the Chassid Yavitz. We've learned 3 amazing ideas. The first point that we learned is you should never see anything you're doing now as the end. Although the time you're doing it, you only focus on the task in front of you. That's all you need to do. You only focus on what you need to do, and that gives you encouragement to continue in your mission. But never have a limitation mindset. Always view there's more and there's more and there's more. To continue learning Torah. Don't ever stop. Tova, according to Rashi, means stop. That was point number 1. Point number 2 is expansive. Don't hold it to yourself. Because Baruch Hu gave you Torah, it's not for you to keep. It's for you to expansively share with other people. And point number 3 is the prerequisite. 2 things. It's the prerequisite, point number 1, and also it's the end goal of learning Torah is to reach a place of humility where you recognize that it all emanates from Hashem. You will feel that if you try and block it, you'll forget it. The arrogance gets in the way of your understanding of the Torah and then shedding the light of Hashem. But the moment you recognize my goal here is to attribute it all back to Him, then you will find yourself having many more Torah ideas to share. Hashem loves sending His Torah through clear pipelines where nothing gets in the way, because He recognizes that's where it's going to be the greatest Kiddush Hashem. Have a wonderful Shabbos.